hey, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of free, pre-screened, pre-approved renters that meet your criteria. And I'm not going to charge you a cent for it.
Welcome to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals who work with investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial real estate coast to coast. Whether you're an investor, broker, lender, property manager, attorney, or accountant, we're here to learn from the experts.
Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio, episode number 58. Weekly, we share interviews with real estate experts, passing on their experience and knowledge to our listeners. Thanks for joining us this week. My name is J. Darren Gross. I'm so glad you're here. In just a minute, we're going to speak with Tyrone Poole. Tyrone is the owner and founder of NoAppFee.com. I read about Tyrone in the Oregonian. It's the Portland, Oregon newspaper here just a couple of weeks ago, and I reached out to him about doing an interview, and today's the day. I'm certain you're going to enjoy learning about Tyrone and his story and how a problem that he faced while he was trying to rent apartments a few years ago was a spark for him to create this award-winning software application that interfaces between tenants and multiple landlords. Before we do, though, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the program. You can do it on either iTunes or Stitcher, whichever you prefer. We're on both. It's real easy. Just go and type into the search bar on either site, Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And when you see our logo, it's the headphones with CREPN between the ears. Go ahead and click subscribe, and this will ensure that you receive all of our episodes. You can listen to them anytime you choose, whether it's in the car, at the gym, or even while you're out walking the dog. Let's see here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a real estate investor, and I'm also a commercial property insurance broker. I've been an insurance broker for over 25 years. My primary clients are real estate professionals dealing in multifamily retail, warehouse, office, and development. Also, I'm a real estate investor and have been for over 20 years. And it's based on this that I'm always looking for information about real estate that I can share with my clients and or implement in my own investing. And that's basically the genesis for CREPN Radio and Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. Want to invite you, if you are on LinkedIn, go ahead and check out our group. We've got a group there called Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. It's a great place to network with commercial real estate professionals, and go check that out. All right, let's get on with the show. On the line with me today, I'm fortunate to have Tyrone Poole. Tyrone is the owner of NoAppFee.com. Tyrone, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you agreed to talk to us today. I read about Tyrone and NoAppFee. It's probably been 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was an article in the local paper, the Oregonian. And what I think our listeners will hear today is just how such a simple solution Tyrone's come up with and to a problem that exists. But hey, before we jump ahead of ourselves, Tyrone, if you could do the listeners and myself a favor and tell us a little bit about your background and what you're about.
All right. Well, my name is Tyrone. I'm the CEO of NoAppFee. Originally, the concept was created because I was injured. I went to school to be a fireman. I was injured in the academy. I got tore my leg apart pretty bad. I was actually training for the academy. I ended up moving into the YWCA homeless shelter after being in and out of the hospital for 9 months. It was a pretty severe injury. I was on crutches for a year following the accident, so I was physically unable to work, which made me not qualify for unemployment. Even though I had the same job for 4 years, you have to physically be able to work, so I couldn't receive unemployment checks. And I wasn't injured for long enough to be able to qualify for Social Security. So I was in this place where you can't work and you don't qualify for any state assistance, which led me to move into the homeless shelter. Second day in the shelter, I received a letter that paid rent anywhere I wanted to live for a year. So I got a assistance letter from the YWCA, and 4 months later, I was still in the YWCA homeless shelter with a letter that paid rent anywhere I wanted to live in Portland. And that was kind of the beginning of when NoAppFee.com, the whole process to get to where we are today started, because that is just the process of going out and applying after, for application fee for a new place over and over, it's a complete guess and go. Like, you have no idea if you qualify for these places. They all have their own randomized, screening criteria. So there's just no way to know what the results are going to be when you apply. And it's just time consuming. It's disheartening. I mean, you get denied so many times, you want to stop going out there. And then I eventually got lucky. I found a place, applied, got a phone call the next day, said you qualify, and I ran there and moved in right away. And so that's kind of the beginning of No App Fee. We built a tool that will take a person, pull their background check, and screen them against every single vacancy in the city, hopefully once we get the database full, at the exact same time. It is literally the equivalent of going and manually applying in person to every single vacancy in Portland and then finding out, or Beaverton or Gresham, and then finding out if you qualify. But it's actually a little bit more than that, because if you don't qualify, it actually tells you exactly what changes you need to make to qualify for the property. So, for example, if it says this property has a maximum allowance of 5, collections charge-offs, you have 7. You must pay off 2 collections charge-offs to qualify for this property. Shows you all 7 collections that are on your credit report, the dollar amount you owe, and the phone number to call. So if I was sitting across from you and I was a family advocate, I could house any person in one day, because we know exactly what to do for any property to qualify. It's a roadmap to housing. So that's what we built, and that's how we got there.
Wow, you gave us a lot of information there. The first I wanted to run back to is just your timeline there from being injured to actually finding housing. Did you start working on the app in that time, or was this after that you had found housing and that experience?
No. So I ended up working for the YWCA for a couple of years. Then I ended up started my own program. It was a spinoff of the Y. They were a huge supporter of it, and it was called Amazing Grace. And I ran that for 4.5 years, and there was 17 employees, and it get kind of we had a full preschool for kids when their parents found jobs, and ran that for 4.5 years. I actually sold to a church, and then after that, I started doing volunteer work and found that because I was burned out. Like, I just could not do it anymore. It was you hit a breaking point where you just can't do it anymore. So I kind of stopped, and that's when I put together noappfee.com, because I just took all the years of knowledge and built a platform that would be able to instantaneously move a person from homeless to housed. So that's the timeline behind it.
All right. Well, thank you for filling in the gaps there. So let's talk about just exactly, I mean, I get the basic concept. Somebody fills out their information. I assume that No App Fee then runs the information, and then based on the different landlords that have signed up and have expressed their criteria, then you can come up with a match or multiple potential matches. But I want to back up here just a second, because I mean, when you were telling us about your situation for 4 months while you were living at the YWCA, the process for getting housing currently, if not using No App Fee, let's talk about that a little bit. What, each place you want to go, what do you got to do?
So they the laws did come out that tried to help shed some light on this issue. One of them is federally, so it's nationwide. Every management company has to display their screening criteria before taking an application from a renter. And that was supposed to be so I could see and not waste my money on applying. The fact is that whoever created that law, even though it had good intentions, just had no idea of how the actual process works. Because if they had, then they would have realized that that's completely useless. So right now, and the reason behind that is because you can't look at these screening criteria, and be like, I can't have more than 5 derogatory accounts within the last 10 years that are more than $250. And I mean, I can't just off the top of my head know. And then it's like 18 categories. So I mean, you need to have at least 2 years rental history at this place, or We go back on eviction history 2 years. We go back 5 years. There's so many random, no screening criteria is exactly the same that we've ever loaded in our database. So there is, so for you to be able to look at these and then somehow be able to know if you qualify is not possible. So right now, what you would do is you'd go out, you'd liken a property, you'd fall in love with it. At least for me and my family, we would, go to a place and kids fall in love with it and picked out their rooms, and then you apply because you're like, I can afford this place and I like it. And then you get a denial letter back and you're like, oh, why don't I qualify? And the properties aren't at liberty to actually share with you why you didn't qualify. You actually have to get the information from the screening company. So now you have to either apply in writing, or some of the nicer ones might actually have a phone conversation with you, but the rule is usually in writing. And then they will furnish you with the report in the mail and then the reason for your denial. So you're looking at weeks to a month for the entire first process just to find out what the issue was. So imagine being in a program like the YWCA, getting denied for your first place, and it's a whole month goes by before you even have the tools that you need to even know what to look at when you go to the next place. It's just a very, and it's because everybody is trying to make, the screening companies do not allow the properties to share the screening the credit report. So it's because they want to make more money. So if you want to find out your issues, before the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you used to have to charge you to get your report. If you want to know why you got denied, pay the screening company. But at least they fixed that piece. So you now get a free report if you are ever denied for anything. But so that's the process. It's literally a guess and go drive, catch the bus for hours, find a place that you like, apply, cross your fingers, and then wait for that email or phone call that tells you that you did not or did qualify for the property. And that process can take months. I'm living proof that process can take months. And the more people the more issues that you have, the less properties you're going to qualify for. So, with my situation, I had $23,000 in doctor bill debt. I had a repossessed car from when I was in the hospital. I had an eviction, and I owe property debt. So because of the fact that I didn't pay rent when I was injured. So somebody like me, I probably qualify for 1% of properties out there. That is 10 out of 1,000 properties. Do you know the amount of resources and time it's going to take me to find that needle in a haystack? So no app fee finds that needle in a haystack instantly. So that's the benefit of the tool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking us through kind of the process, because I think sometimes, you hear a solution, but if you don't fully understand how the process works, before the solution, you may not, it may not have
value completely.
Yeah, it doesn't have the value, it doesn't resonate. So, and I'm, a little bit familiar. I know there was a time when I was a landlord and I took an application but didn't do the screening and got burned a couple of times, and I say baptized by fire based on just, from the landlord's perspective, that I think that's kind of the tool that they like to use to make sure. But I think what I'm hearing you say, and what to me just speaks volumes, is just, the tenant is going to be the same regardless of who pulls the information. That information is not going to change.
Exactly.
If I understand right, when you have your pool of prospective landlords, they have set their parameters in your pool so that when the tenant enrolls in your program, then that goes through that algorithm or whatever that is that matches up who's qualified and who's not. So let's talk about a little bit about how it works. We know now how it works if we don't use no app fee, and just to kind of lay more credence to this, what kind of fees were you looking at when you were going through the application fee, or what is a market rate application fee right now for somebody that's going through, wanting to rent at a place and they've got to pay the application fee? What are you seeing in the marketplace?
So you're looking at $50 to $60 per adult. So every property that you're going to apply to, and there's 1.6 background checks per family. So you're looking at average of $80, $80, $90 per background check that you apply for every time you apply. So, and if you are looking at 3 to 4 to 5 application fees, that's $500. That's what you're looking at to find, and that's just to see I mean, if this place is good, it will accept 75% of your monthly income every month.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's roll forward here, and like you said too, I think the current situation for the landlords is that now they do have to let you know what their requirements are. So I mean, you have at least a good sense before you do pay the application fee, but still, the fees and the time and all that you talked about, not very efficient marketplace. So
no.
So clearly, you identified a situation that could be improved. You developed this no app fee. And before we go into let's go into this right now. Let's talk about how it works, and I want to hear a little bit more about how long it took you to develop and all that. So let's talk about just which comes first, the landlord or the tenants? What do you got to have?
So that's a really good question. You have to have the landlords first. So you have to build a database of listings and screening criteria. For us, before we will launch in the market, we would like to have 20 different screening criteria. A lot of people don't understand the difference in that, because I can close a company like, I don't know, a large 200 apartment complex management company. And on our website, that's a lot of available listings. But that's not a site that's usable for the no app fee product if I just have 200 apartment communities through one property management company, because there's only one screening criteria. So if you create an account on no app fee and you don't qualify for that management company screening criteria, you don't qualify for anything on the website. So if for us, it's not about the size of the management company. It's about going out and closing as many unique screening criteria and manage that. We found that the value is in the difference, the amount of unique screening criteria. So we like to have 20 in a market before we launch that market's platform.
So let me make sure I understand it real quick. So what you're saying is that whether it be 20 different management companies or 20 different landlords or whatever, but you want 20 different screening profiles of acceptance? Is that what I'm understanding?
That's exactly right.
And is that more like a ladder, or is it just, I mean...
That's a foundation before we feel comfortable having somebody pay $35 on our website.
Right. No, I understand that. But I'm just curious on the 20 different profiles. So, like you mentioned your own profile when you had your accident. You had a repossession, you had an eviction, you had... I don't remember if you had collection or whatever, but there were multiple things. So let's just say there were 3 of those. So that would be like one profile of acceptance, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we call those screening filters. Yeah, so different filters. Yeah.
So would the next one then could be the same 3 things, but maybe they'll allow 2 evictions or an eviction with explanation, or does it get kind of fuzzy in there?
How it works. Right.
And let's talk about this, because I mean I know that it's easy to draw something up black and white, and if the box is checked, you can say that's good. But I know plenty of tenants I've dealt with over the years. There's an explanation that can make sense as to why it shows up, and I found that some of those are some of the best tenants I've ever had when their story, the upfront story, matches the screen story. Makes sense?
It does, absolutely. I mean, my first place that rented me was with Cascade Management, and they took evictions with explanations, and I said, hey, I was in the hospital. I couldn't pay rent, and they accept me, and I stayed there for a while, So, but that's exactly how it works. You have to get landlords first, and you need to pick up as many of those unique screening criteria as possible. Some are felony friendly, some are not. Some are, eviction friendly, some are not. Some have 3 times the rent you have to make. Some have 2.5. Some have 1.5. You know what I'm saying? So your income, all the different things that we pull, and which is the secret sauce to no app fee, by the way. That's what makes us special, is the fact that we developed the first screening company that doesn't require people. So we, screening companies today, if you go in, I think our largest one here, I don't want to use names of companies on the show, but it has about 60 employees, and they pride themselves on the fact that we have 60 full-time employees who are going through, they are pulling your background check and reviewing it, and then manually checking off what you meet or don't meet for the property you apply to. Now, at Fee, we wrote algorithms that will, when your background check comes back, it reads it as if it's a person, and it pulls off all the values that are important. It pulls off the bankruptcies, the delinquent accounts, the collections charge-offs, and it categorizes it so that way it does the same with criminal history. It reads the reports and takes off only convictions of misdemeanors and felonies. It does it to everything, and then it will filter it against every individual screening filter on the website at the same time. So that is the key. It took us a year and a half to develop that, to write all those algorithms and read all those documents and collect the data that we needed off of it. So, but once you have that and you don't need people anymore, now it is you can, instead of doing a 1-to-1, you can do 1 to 10,000, in a minute. So that's the secret to know. I feel that's why the technology is so attractive.
No, I love it when you can apply technology in a way that, it actually does what you hoped it would do. I mean, I can't tell you how many times the technology makes it feel like I'm the one learning how to use the technology, as opposed to, or I'm learning how to code something. I just want to push the button, like you said.
Right.
So let's go just a little bit further. So you said you want 20 different profiles.
Yep.
Are you active now in Portland?
We are. We launched a prototype 1 year ago. We are 1 year old this month. September 1st, we launched our. Thank you. We actually sent out a happy birthday email to all of our clients today. We launched 1 year ago in September, and we had a prototype that was it was not user-friendly. You had to want to use this website to really make it happen. So it was only used by programs for the most part because they had the need to actually fight through all the bugs to get a family matched to a property. And the website only told you if you met or not met the criteria. So it didn't give you the breakdown of why and all that. It just screened you, and it either spit out a yes or a no. But it did it to hundreds of properties at the same time. So when we first launched, we actually only had 80 listings on our website, and we had 8 management companies. So we did not have the buy-in that we had originally wanted to get to market. But at the same time, we didn't want to burn a lot of bridges because we knew we were going to put out a subpar product to get proof of concept. And we had 1,700 people create an account in the first 30 days.
Wow.
1,700 with no advertising, no anything. And
these are the applicants, the residents looking for housing.
Yes, renters looking for housing. These are people who I don't even know how they found this website. Like, it was not, we told all the programs, and so first we thought they were coming from programs, and then when it was over, we manually went through it, and we found only 114 families came with programs. All the other people was just word of mouth that there was this site out there that would screen you against 8 management companies at the same time. And so once we realized that
over 1,500, yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, just with word of mouth. It was so incredible that when we were like, okay, we've proven that if there was a tool that would screen a renter against every management company, the market would use it. So we opened a convertible note. I know, like, friends in the money raising world, but we put out a convertible note. And we raised every cent in 18 days, $300,000 for the rebuild of the website. And so we worked on it, and that new site just went live on September 1st of this month. So, and during that time, we did a bunch of different competitions. We got 5th in the world on most promising tech startup, 3,000 startups from 30 countries, and put on in Washington, D.C. We won an Amazon incubator. We made a big splash with this new technology for such a simple, no-brainer product that I can't believe no one else ever did before us. So,
no, that's beautiful. You said you were 5th out of, did you say 3,000 applicants?
3,000 startups in 30 countries, and it's put on by Washington, D.C. once a year, and a big incubator called 1776. And this year it was a 7-month long competition, and AppFee ranked 5th out of 3,000.
Let me ask you something, because as I'm thinking about this, and as I kind of read the article, and even as you were kind of describing I guess when I think of this, I think of more of the people that can least afford to pay application fees, for housing and stuff. But I'm going, why would it limit itself to that? If I was if I did have means and I wanted to rent, why wouldn't I want to have the same access to, I'm assuming there wouldn't be, I'm assuming if you have good credit and, good job and all that stuff, you're not necessarily going to be limited anyways, but I'm just kind of curious, what would there be a reason for or not to have it, work from, the top market to the bottom market? I'm just kind of curious.
Right. So originally we built it for the low-income family. We built it for the most vulnerable families. And what we found was that everybody who rents wants to use that product. Now, the renter demographics is what you got to look at as a whole. And renters are not usually in the top, 5% or so of income categories. Sure. If they did, they'd probably be homeowners. They are millennials. They are people between the ages of 18 and 34. They usually haven't met their peak, so they're
peak earning potential.
Exactly. So they're in a point where they need to, where renting is the best opportunity for them. And this tool is a solution for all of them. And that's why we had investors jump in, because they were like, this is not a low-income family tool. Like, this is a paradigm shift in the rental market as a whole for everybody. And so even though I still push through my mission, the majority of the families who create account no fee don't come from programs. They're just everyday people looking for a place to live.
Right. So, okay, I get the buy-in from the tenant side of the thing. Let's talk about the landlord and the property manager side of the equation. What's been the reception on the other side?
So it's a little bit on market base. So in the market that you're pitching in. So in Georgia, we found that we can close pretty much any company that we pitch in the first 10 minutes. I mean, it's like, hey, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of free, pre-screened, pre-approved renters that meet your criteria, and I'm not going to charge you a cent for it. And then they say, oh, where do you sign me up? But in Portland, it's actually a little bit different. The market is so tight that people don't need to advertise. And so you have to pitch a little bit more. But so instead of just saying, hey, we're going to give you free renters, you actually have to, because they're like, hey, we get renters, I can put a sign up and I'm going to have 10 applications tomorrow. Why do I need to spend my time learning about your platform? And so we pitch the benefits to landlords, which it does have huge benefits. For one, the amount of time that you save using no ad fee, which is the biggest sale. It usually is the only one that's needed. Today, the rental market is just like the renter's blind, the property is blind. They actually put all the money that goes into them getting a renter into the unit is put out, and it's put up before they know anything about the renter. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to take your phone call. I'm going to meet you all the way in Vancouver to show you this house, and then we're going to talk. I'm going to spend my time and energy and money to get you to market to you and get you excited about this. I'm going to email you tomorrow and say, hey, I know I met you yesterday. Were you still interested in the house? And then if you apply and then you don't qualify, and you just spent all that time and energy with a renter that did not qualify for the property. So, and that's how every single management company has to operate, because they don't know anything about these renters. So no ad fee says, what would it be worth for you to know everything on a renter and on initial contact? Never drive out to go show a property to someone that you already don't know qualifies. And not even with our technology, a renter knows that they qualify before they even call you. So the phone doesn't even ring from no ad fee clients that don't meet your criteria. A 1-to-1 ratio, which is right now, the rule of thumb for property management is you show a property 10 times to get 3 applications to get 1 lease. That's in a standard market. So we just made it you show it once.
You show it 10 times to get 3 applications?
Yep, to get 1 approval, 1 lease.
Wow. Okay.
So we just changed it to you show the property 1 time to a pre-approved person, and if they like it, they get the keys. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so for them, it's a tremendous time saving, because that's where 99% of their money goes, is advertising their listings.
So you just closed the gap on. We've already talked about the win for the tenants. We just talked about the win for the landlords. It sounds like the only guy that's missing out on this now is the guy that's been collecting the fees for screening all these applicants up till this point.
Yes.
Is that the?
There's no win for that guy. We've attempted. The truth is, we actually went to a couple of the local ones here. We pitched, and we said, hey, let's partner on solving this problem. And the truth is, they make a lot of money off of. If say I manage Cascade Property Management, and I apply to a Cascade property and I get denied, and then I go apply to a different property, and with Guardian, let's say, but the same screening company, they have my background check, but they're going to charge me again, and they know that these families, some of them have to apply 5, 6, 7 times, so they're going to make hundreds of dollars off of me. And what I'm saying is I want to reduce your revenue to 1. There's no instance where a renter would ever pay you more than 1 time. So you just dropped, and I think the average on like our families or something, the market that I'm targeting was like 3 background checks average. So I'm literally taking 2/3 of your revenue away by signing this contract with me. And it doesn't, no one went for it. Yes, we will solve a problem, but their revenue, there's a lot of money to make off of disadvantaged, people with vulnerable families. And it sounds horrible, but from a business standpoint, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. So we had to build our own platform. So and now we will take market share, and they will feel that. There's really nothing we can do to save that relationship.
No, well, it's technology. It's happened, it wasn't that long ago when we just learned about the internet, and the travel agents were kind of one of the first victims, and bookstores with Amazon, and Uber, and the taxi cabs, and all. I think the reality is that everything is up for grabs with technology, and
that's very true.
You have uncovered a problem which nobody really cared to resolve, partially motivated by your own experience, probably, I would guess, largely motivated by that.
Yeah.
And that's usually where, good solutions come from, is when somebody's actually had the experience and questions why. And for that, I applaud you and your efforts and this. So you mentioned you're active in Portland. You said Georgia, I presume Atlanta, or statewide?
That's our beginning. Yes, Atlanta.
Okay. Where are you going from here, or what's next up on your?
Washington is next for us. We have state.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, and then, but actually Washington, D.C. is one of the ones in our pipeline. They actually reached out to us, to the municipality, to launch an RP for our technology. So Washington, D.C. is on our list. But the 3 markets that we are trying, so right now our plan is we just got our brand new platform, super powered, ready to go, and we are hitting Oregon, Washington, and Georgia. And we are putting a full-on 8-month push into these markets. We're going to show some incredible numbers, and then we're going to go for Series A, which would put us to a big 47-state national rollout when you raise like $20 million or something. So that is our actual plan. So we're only hitting these 3 markets in this timeline, so we can get so we can prove how successful this new model is and the impact it has on 3 completely uniquely different markets, and then to show that it works in every market, not just really tight markets, not just really loose markets. It works in all markets. And so our heads are down right now. We are pounding the pavement to make sure our stats look amazing at the end of this 8-month push, because that's when we run out of money. So Something got to happen at the end of 8 months.
Burn rate, huh?
Exactly.
Well, I like the idea. I was curious as to what the thoughts were behind the different markets, but it makes sense that you're trying to prove it in different markets to show the diversity and the strength of the program. I love that.
Yep.
Well, that's exciting stuff. I applaud you. I love your story. I just couldn't be happier to have a chance to talk to you, and I couldn't wish you more good wishes and success. What for landlords here? Well, in the areas you're talking about specifically, and others that you mentioned how you had the flood of tenants reaching out to you. I'm wondering if tenants or landlords are reaching out to you, if you wouldn't be more apt to sign another market up, or would there be if you had a groundswell of people going, we want it here kind of thing, would that prompt you to go to that marketplace and do that, or are you going to focus and just get these markets figured out first? These three are like laser-focused markets right this minute. You have to, exactly, because even though the opportunities are there, and plus we don't really know what's best for it. For instance, in Georgia, we know that it's much cheaper to acquire Georgia than it is to acquire Portland, because it's much easier to sign up management companies. But we also know that it's more profitable to acquire Portland than it is to acquire Georgia, because the need of housing is so high here that I launched this website and you get 3,000 accounts created. In Georgia, it's significantly less because not so many. It's not the pain point isn't there for renters as much. So we have to find that sweet spot. And once we find that sweet spot, then from the data we collect, we'll be able to say, based on the analytics of these markets and what the returns was, our number one markets for us would be these markets. And because you would run that against what the demographics is of other cities and states in the United States to find the best fit, to know where to go first. So we need data to know the plan. I was going to say, sounds like you're a data man now, huh? Got to know your data. Yeah. I'm a good listener to the data man on our team. There you go. There you go. Well, I can't thank you enough, and no, thank you for the invitation. Hope we can help spread the word and get you some fans of your program here. I want to have one question. The sign-up process for the landlord, is it pretty straightforward? Do they go to the website? I mean, you said you're right now. Are you going one-to-one out and talking to them, or are you getting on the phone? We are. So we can't allow a landlord to just list their own house on our website, because we give them access to extremely sensitive data, which is a renter's entire background check. So at this point in time, we are unable to, our system doesn't support individual landlords. We have to go with licensed management companies that we can go check their license, make sure that it's active and that they legally can receive these screens that we're giving. The same way a screening company would have to go through the process of signing up a new screening company, because that's technically what we are doing. We're being a new screening company. So so now once we make sure that, hey, this is a legitimate company, and every renter that we send there there's no risk of fraud or anything like that, like they're legitimate. So that's why they can't create their own account. We have to go out. They can call us. There's a number on our site, but we have to go out, do an inspection, make sure that this is management company is in good standing. Exactly. And then we can put them live on the website. For them to go live, they need to give us two things: their screening criteria and the URL to their website. That's it. We have a bot that will hit their website every single morning, take all the listings on their website from their website and put it on no app fee beautifully. If the listing on no app fee is no longer on their website, our bot takes it off of no app fee. If they add a new one to their website, in the morning the bot adds it to our website. And their screening criteria is already embedded in their account. So, when we say it's hands-free, you give me your screening criteria and the URL to your website, you're live in 2 days, and you never have to touch the website. It will automatically be up to date to the day based off of the technology that we developed to scrape your website every single morning. So, it's a tool that is just free leads. That's really what it is for management companies, just free leads. So, no, it's
it's a great tool. I'm excited about it, as you can probably tell. But
yeah, it sounds like you got a hard sell there with those management companies and free leads. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say no to that.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I want to say thanks for taking the time. And before I let you go, tell our listeners how they can find out more and get in touch if they'd like to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to noappfee.com, NOAPPFEE, short for no application fee, and create an account. If you have any issues with your account, like anything whatsoever, call No App Fee. We will give a complete refund. Right now, we're in the phase of trying to run as many families through it as possible to get as much feedback on any UX or bugs that we might find. So, this is a chance to just run through and get matched to a property, and then give us a great testimonial on Facebook. We've gotten quite a bit of those lately of how amazing that their experience was. So that's it. Very easy to get to.
All right. And for any landlords that you mentioned, is the phone number on the fee or on the app or the webpage as well? Or?
Yep. Right on the contact. Just give us a call, and we'll be out there the next day.
All right.
If you're in Portland, Washington, or Seattle, or Washington or Georgia.
Got it. Tyrone, I can't say thanks enough, and I wish you all the best. And hopefully we can touch base again soon and hear about your success.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, Tyrone, thanks. I hope you enjoyed that. Tyrone and his technology, his application, no app fee. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. And it's a great example of how the market will change because of an app. So you may have just listened to the father of change for the way that tenants apply for rental units. That's amazing. Anyway, we know you're busy. We thank you for taking time for us today. We do appreciate you. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.
You're listening to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals. For more information on this or any of our guests, like us on Facebook, CREPN Radio.